When we think about living with purpose, we're often guided towards the field of self-help, self-improvement, and personal growth. It's such a ubiquitous industry that can often overwhelm people with endless programs, podcasts, and seemingly authentic ways that can help you to be your best self. And the industry seems to be built on the idea that as everyday humans, we're somehow broken, convincing us that we're incomplete or not enough, that we have to find our why, our purpose, find happiness in order to be whole. Modern-day capitalist culture constantly tells us that we can be happy, but only when we get the perfect job, more money, the perfect house, car, or whatever material possession is being sold to us today. Social media glorifies the idea that finding your purpose is like finding hidden treasure, that if we search long and hard enough, we might just strike gold and dig up our purpose, and then, and only then, will we have it to hold on to. But even then, it's not guaranteed, because if everyone found their purpose, then who would buy all the self-help programs and audiobooks? Looking at it objectively, I can't help think it all looks like a giant scam. That this idea that we'll all be happy at some indeterminate time in the future when everything falls into place, when we get that perfect job and have financial freedom and the perfect house. Doesn't this way of chasing happiness necessarily infer that, by definition, it will always be out of reach? It's not particularly hard to see that we're being inundated with media spin and brainwashing narratives that seek to shape the way we think, act, consume, and view the world. Forces that wish to imply that we're somehow deficient and lack confidence and belief in ourselves. Have humans always thought like this? Or are there other ways of thinking about happiness and living with purpose? Of course, that's a rhetorical question, because at some level we all know very well that there are alternatives. We only have to look back in human history at traditional and indigenous knowledge systems around the world to see that there have been many alternative ways of identifying and expressing personal agency, happiness, and purpose. For these have been philosophical mysteries humans have grappled with as long as we've inhabited the planet. Many ancient beliefs point to the fact that happiness is not something external that you acquire. For example, the native Hawaiian Ho'oponopono tradition teaches us that true healing means remembering our original harmony, not chasing something missing. As if to say that we all once had happiness in our hearts, for example, as children, as innocent beings untouched by the harsh realities of life and the world, and that happiness isn't something you find, but rather something you remember. That happiness isn't a pursuit or some kind of reward, but rather our natural state. So we needn't spend our lives searching for something that has always been inside of us all along. Something we may just have forgotten under the noise, the fears, and the comparisons we engage in. You may have heard the expression that comparison is the thief of joy. And I think it's true, because the moment we compare ourselves to others, we stop being present in our own lives. And we all do it, scrolling through other people's highlight reels, measuring our worth by someone else's timeline, feeding into the sense that someone else's success equals our failure, their happiness and abundance, our absence and lack. But comparison doesn't just steal joy, it steals truth. Because the moment you start measuring yourself against others, you lose sight of who you are. You stop seeing your own distinctive qualities, your own natural rhythm, life trajectory, unique story, and personal growth. Ancient wisdom teaches us that every person walks a different path. In Aboriginal Australian culture, each of us carries a song line, a melody that only we can sing as individuals. In the Andean tradition, every mountain, every person, every moment has its own spirit, its own balance with the universe. So when we compare ourselves to others, we break that balance. We forget that our pace is not actually supposed to match anyone else's. On the other hand, when we stop comparing, we open our eyes to the fact that someone else's light doesn't necessarily dim our own. If anything, it can help us see what's possible in our own journey. And talking of journeys, the process of personal growth is very rarely linear. As much as the self-help industry would have us believe that we simply move from one place of lack to a destination of abundance, I tend to think of life being a spiral staircase, and we're born into the world about halfway up it. And as soon as we're able to, it's our choice what direction we wish to head, as much as external factors and people play a role in pushing us one way or the other. Going down heads into darkness, and it may not be pleasant, but it's definitely easier. It takes less effort to just go with the flow and move down the stairs without much thought or intention. And of course, because it's a spiral, you keep cycling back past your starting point, only getting lower each time. And perhaps you see that point disappearing into the distance above you and find yourself reminiscing about the good old times when life was so much better up there. But it's also in your power to make the choice to stop descending and turn yourself around and start walking up the stairs towards the light. Maybe you saw someone else doing it, or maybe you just came to the realization that you're the one in control of your destiny. But you soon realize that walking up the staircase takes more effort, requires a focus on the present moment, and you frequently got to walk past people and things trying to tempt you or drag you back down. But with concerted effort and conscious intention, you find yourself elevating and returning to your starting point, your remembrance of your natural state of happiness. And if you pass that point, well, you step into the unknown. But again, because it's a spiral, it's not completely unfamiliar. You're heading upwards towards the welcoming light at the top of the staircase. And you can finally find joy in just being present and enjoying every step of the journey. But how do we remember our happiness and live with purpose? Isn't that the million-dollar question? The Stoic thinker Epictetus from ancient Greece put forward that there's only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things beyond our control. Easier said than done, because there's always so much worrying stuff in life we can't control. The weather, the traffic, the seasons, other people, and the way they act, as much as we'd like to think differently. Ultimately in life, we're only in control of ourselves, the way we view the world, the way we think, act, and react to the good, bad, and ugly things we come across in life. But what does it mean to live with purpose? What if, instead of the idea of constantly seeking purpose externally and trying to find this big abstract enigma, we simply focused on being present in the here and now and living more intentionally in the small moments of everyday life? In Taoism, the Tao Te Ching says, "Do your work, then step back, the only path to serenity." Meaning, purpose is not an external mission. It's found in harmony with the present task. like the Japanese concept of ikigai, the reason for being, that suggests that purpose is discovered through living and doing what brings meaning day by day. A lesson the Native American Lakota Sioux taught was the greatest freedom is being who you are in service to all living things, emphasizing that purpose flows from your contribution to the circle of life. Even Aristotle wrote that finding happiness and fulfillment is achieved by loving rather than in being loved. And this rejection of self-centered searching is epitomized in the African Ubuntu philosophy of I am because we are, reminding us that meaning also comes from community, humanity, and compassion, not just solitary ambition. Pablo Picasso once said, "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." It's one of those quotes that sounds simple but carries a deep truth. Meaning and purpose aren't the same thing. Meaning is inward. It's about discovering what lights you up, what makes you feel alive, and what flows through you naturally. Purpose is outward. It's how you use that energy to share your light and make life around you brighter. We search endlessly for our gift as if it's hidden somewhere out there, waiting for the perfect job, idea, or time. But in truth, your gift isn't something you find. It's something that finds expression every time you act with intention. Your gift could be how you listen, how you comfort and care for others, how you teach, how you create, how you love. Gifts that you don't need the world's permission to share. You just need the courage to share them freely and as often as you like. Because in the end, life isn't about discovering some great big purpose. It's about giving yourself fully to the moments that make life meaningful. And that's where purpose lives, not in what you achieve, but in what you give of yourself. And the truth is, sharing your gift doesn't mean you have it all figured out either. It's not about being perfect or fully formed. It's about showing up as you are, even while you're still becoming who you are. I don't claim to have any answers, just a perspective and the courage to share it. But ultimately, I think the key thing is we don't have to fix ourselves before we can give anything meaningful to the world. Every single person has the capacity to give, create, and connect with what shapes us into who we're capable of being. You don't need to be healed to help or be whole to love. You just need to remember who you are. And that's the most natural, beautiful human thing you can do. And on that note, I'll stop here for today. Thank you for listening to this episode. Feel free to leave a comment, share the video with anyone it might resonate with, and if you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again soon.